A friend of mine took in this county line wood splitter on a trade, and he didn't have any place to store it. And I told him I would gladly store it if I would have use of it and would maintain it. So it was delivered, and I started changing the fluids because I doubt they'd ever been changed. Looks like a relatively new machine, but when I started draining the fluid, this is what the hydraulic fluid looked like. Clearly very, very contaminated. And when I took the cap off of the reservoir, I found that the bottom of the tank had about an 1/8 to a 1/16 of an inch of what looked like mud. Furthermore, when I took the filter off, I found that the inner tube of the filter was actually collapsed. And that means that the filter media had gotten so clogged and the internal bypass valve had gotten so dirty that it just sucked everything inside flat. I'm going to spin that filter off so you can get a look at what kind of destruction went on inside. This is looking right straight into the filter, and where you would expect to see a big hollow place, there's nothing but just a wad of metal, what was the inner tube of the filter. So the pressure differential got so high between the inlet and the outlet side, it just crushed it. Now normally you would expect for the filter to bypass, but I'm assuming that so much dirt got in the bypass valve, it quit working as well. So total destruction as far as the filter is concerned. Now, because the oil is so contaminated, I want to get every bit of that stuff out that I can, and that includes what was in the cylinder. The cylinder was in the retract position when it was put up. So what I'm doing is using a bar clamp to extend that cylinder. As you can see, I got the valve chained in the down position so that as I pull that cylinder forward, all the oil that was in the front of it will come out the drain back line. So like a cat eating a grindstone, I'm just tightening this thing up slowly, and the old oil comes out. The only access I've got to the hydraulic tank on that splitter is through the filler neck. Now, I discussed cutting another hole and all that kind of stuff, but I don't think that would have really done me any more good than what I'm going to do. So what I did was I took an old drain auger and cut about 4.5 feet of that off, and clamped some shop rags to the auger using hose clamps, and hook that to a cordless drill. And what I'm going to do is stick that down the neck of the filler and let those rags flail around. They kind of wad up a little bit, but I just keep reversing the cordless drill, and so it unwinds and plows along in one side of the tank and then the other side of the tank, and pull it in, push it out, and so on. So that's the way we're going to clean the tank out. I'm going to put some diesel fuel in there and run it for a good little while. Pour some more diesel fuel in, run it a while till the diesel fuel starts to look clear, and then I'll pull those rags out and wring them out and put them in and mop up all I can of the old diesel fuel and water, I'm sure. And then I'll run clean rags in a couple times to try to get the rest of the water and the rust out. And this flexible shaft isn't completely ideal, but I think it'll work pretty good. Let's give it a try. Now, of course, it'll flop around out here in the open air, but I think I think that'll do. And then I'll reverse it. Yeah, I think that'll work fine. Okay, we've got the diesel in the tank and got the rags down in there, and I'm about ready to agitate it with the drill. I put a little collar around the threads so they won't get damaged, but I really don't think that's going to be a problem. So let's see if well, it looks like it's doing something, so I don't know. We'll see. Okay, we've been flailing around here for about a half hour using the drill to agitate the tank, and let's see what kind of nastiness is going to come out. Well, I actually expected more, but it's still pretty nasty. In case you're curious as to what kind of gritty nastiness we got out of the bottom of the tank, this is what's stuck to the bottom of the bucket after I poured, I guess, 1.5 gallons of diesel out into my waste oil receptacle. As you can see, that's rusty mud along with lots of beads of water in there. So I'm sure the water's probably what caused the problem in the first place. But it's out of there now. Okay, I've got it topped off with fluid, gas in the tank, oil in the engine, all the clamps tightened down. Time to see if it works. So I'm going to crank it up here and see what we got. Okay, everything's dry. That was not the easiest piece of wood to split, so we got plenty of power. And one thing I do notice is the pump had a distinct whine to it before I changed the fluid. That's gone now, so I'm hoping that's a good thing. Thanks for watching.